Today it's time for the finals of the Wardy Monday. It's time for a best of 5 series of Zerg versus Terran. We're in the upper left playing in red. We have probably my personal favorite Zerg player. We're looking inside of the main base of a Rogue. Look, I'm a fan of Serral for obvious reasons, but there's no denying that Rogue plays some very spectacular StarCraft. Not afraid to go ahead and play very aggressively too. That is something that, of course, Serral doesn't do nearly as much. His opponent, though, in the opposite corner, somebody who's been making steady strides forward on the brand new balance patch. Playing with the blue Terran pieces, we have Percival. It's probably my favorite thing about the new patch. The players that have been right below the tippity top of the skill level, I guess it's all flattened out a little bit, and they're doing significantly better right now. We've seen, for example, GG Machine. We've seen a bunch of Protoss players as well. Percival, likewise, has been, well, he's been getting much better over the last couple of years, but likewise, he as well, on 5.0.16 so far, has been ranking up once again. And this is why you gotta keep putting in the work, right? It's one of the nice things. It's leveling the playing field a little bit, and if you're, well, not practicing, you're gonna fall behind. No time to get complacent. Percival over here already enjoying that cheaper command center on the low ground, going CC first against a Rogue. A little dangerous. Rogue isn't necessarily known for early game cheeses, but he does do everything from like a Zergling rush to a 45-minute long macro game, right? He's not afraid to go for a Nidus all-in, not afraid to go for a Bane bust. Anything really in between the extremes really seems to go for Rogue, so I do find it a little bit dangerous to go CC first. But then again, it's a best of 5. You have a bit of, a little bit of wiggle room, and you can, of course, follow this up with relative safety. So Percival is going double CC into double racks. Okay, he is getting a Kijkwijzer as well. That's usually the main question right now. When do you actually take your refinery? A lot of Terran players have been sitting on like a gasless build for quite a long time in the earlier stage of the game, really just focusing on command centers, orbital commands, supply depots, barracks, SCVs, and all of those, well, the Marines as well, all of those only cost minerals. So gas has been delayed a lot more over the last few weeks. Percival's still going for at least a respectable gas start. Not entirely sure what this Overlord is up to. Maybe it's also wanting to hide from the rainfall over here on this particular map. I guess he's waiting for a potential SCV scout or maybe a Reaper that would be running across this part in the game. But yeah, he doesn't see anything, and I guess this is going to keep him a little bit more concerned, right? Is this a CC first? I think he's probably already putting his opponent on a command center first, despite the fact that he doesn't really know. He hasn't really seen anything. Very soon, though, he will see the lack of a Reaper moving past, and usually you go for an SCV ahead of the Reaper too. You could technically cut it, but usually Terran players at this level do like to go for the SCV scout, leading the Reaper. So upon seeing none of it, yeah, a Rogue will probably already figure out that it's safe to go ahead and take a third. It's one of the cheeky things about high-level StarCraft. Not seeing things is oftentimes just as much information as actually seeing things, right? When you first start playing the game, you're like, okay, I gotta scout exactly what my opponent is doing, and if I see this structure, it means that he's going for that. Not seeing anything at a certain part also does mean a couple of things. All right, so the Marines are working away at the unbuildable rocks. They're gonna have to step it up, though, if they want to save the SCV. Fair enough. It's a bit of a risky build, though, right? Imagine right now if there were indeed a bunch of Zerglings running through. I guess you can still fall behind the high ground wall off here, and it's gonna be reasonably safe. I guess you can still complete this wall as well with a command center right over here. But this is effectively just straight Stimpack, straight combat shields, and then a factory on the back of it. So it's a triple Rex double CC build. Okay. There's gonna be a nice timing attack, but it's one of those timing attacks that Zerg players are pretty used to. I like it, especially on maps that have like a ramp leading up towards the natural or the third. But if you want to engage over here, you're gonna have to keep your Marines very exposed so you can get very easily surrounded. Likewise as well for the natural, there's really no easy path for those Marines to move through. So I'm a bit afraid here that Percival is going to do a move out without any sort of medevac support, and that he's just going to end up getting fully surrounded by Lynx. It's something that Rogue will be considering as well. Alternative choice, though, for Percival is just to sit back and not even bother moving out. Yeah, I guess we can just go Stimpak and Combat Shields and not really do anything with it, but you're kind of encouraged to go for at least a bit of an attack. Alright. At this point, Zerk doesn't yet know. It's of course important here that, yeah, you do spot this sort of attack coming in. I think a little Zerkling just now did give him all the info. Rogue actually not responding with Zerklings. He's decided to go for Roaches instead. But this should still be a pretty straightforward hold, I think, for the Zerk player, who could even be considering a 4th hatchery right after all of this is settled. Obviously, though, you first have to defend this. Stimpak is costly. There's no Medivacs out just yet. 24 Marines in total. At least he gets a bunch of those creep tumors. But let's see. When do we pull the trigger? Right now. Right now. Brenda already got sniped. But yeah. I guess now we just march home. And I guess that's the advantage when you're going up against roaches. They're not really going to be able to chase you down. We can wait in the tall grass for a little bit, though. Nice bit of micro here by Percival. Gets a few more roaches for his troubles. Okay. Yeah, in reality, though, all of this really is just a skill check. We have a 3rd command center added into the mix. And we will be seeing the 4th hatchery right now as well. 8 more drones do get fired up. And while Rogue made a handful of roaches, he's not gonna go ahead and counterattack immediately after. He does go, yeah, ground carapace research, so that's nice. He does have roach speed coming up too. But none of this really indicates to me that he wants to be aggressive. I think all he really wants to do is just get full economy out. Probably up to like 80 workers or so, and then start making armies when he's actually got all the way up to hive tech. I think that's probably the plan. Roach is really just for base defense for now, so Percival can be as greedy as he wants to be. Problem is he doesn't really know. Alright, another queen does die. You know what? The roach count is not quite sufficient. More of them, though, are hatching. Bunch of drones also do fall. Good pickup there as well by Percival, getting out before the medevac ends up going down. I hate to break this to the Marines, but the Marines are very expendable. The medevacs, yeah, not so much. You'd much rather lose the Marines than the medevacs. Just don't tell the lads that, okay? They thought they were safe inside of their private jet, but not quite the case. Bailing nest coming up. Hive will probably get fired up as well. There we go. Thank you for making me look smart, Rogue. I do appreciate that. Yeah, while this skirmish here has been okay, right? It's really not super significant. Even though the resources lost are favorable right here for Terran, you really don't have anything you can really capitalize on. Zerk is going to be able to get a really big economy out. They're going to be able to get up to hive tech. So we are effectively doing a little bit of pawing at one another, right? We're doing a little bit of fighting before ultimately transitioning from the early game effectively straight towards the late game. This is all pretty good, though, here. Yeah, Rogue being a little bit too adventurous. Giving Percival a little too much value for my liking. Percival not afraid, though. He's going to grab that opportunity with both hands. Well, maybe a year or two ago, he was a bit intimidated playing against people of Rogue's caliber. A previous world champion, of course. These days, he's very well known for holding himself just fine. Purification Nova's corrosive biles do land right there on the Liberator, but that means they're not going to go onto the tanks. And Percival has decided to just go ahead and take a shot. Those tanks are putting in quite a bit of work. Zerk reinforcements will be popping out, but this is all very expensive here for the South Korean Zerk player. More and more roaches will be available, and I think before too long, all of this will get cleaned up. But Percival really is just looking for value. Yeah. He's got a 4th command center building. He's really just trying to secure a bigger economy of his own while keeping the Zerk player honest. And I kind of love it. These roaches were supposed to be a get-out-of-jail-for-free card. Oh. You can see him dropping off the Marauder because he wanted to load up another siege tank, but he realized he couldn't do it. He decided to load the Marauder back in. Now at very low HP, this guy managed to apparently, thank his lucky stars. It's a little rude, by the way. Get out of the plane! We've got a tank to pick up! It's a little rude. It's a little bit toxic. But I guess such is life as a Terran. All right, 5th command center already. 5th command center, 2nd factory. We're doing all the things here. So we actually do have one more command center than we would have had on the previous patch. Normally, you would go 2nd factory, 4th command center. Now we've gone 4th command center, 2nd factory, 5th command center. Now that the CCs are 100 minerals cheaper, it lines up perfectly here. Percival basically going for the same strategy as on the previous patch, but getting an extra command center than what he would have had on the previous patch, right? Like, it's a big difference. Zerg, of course, does have more larva regen, but normally that's mostly reflected. Good pickup yet again, man. Mostly that's reflected in the worker count. But so far, Percival doing an excellent job. Gets the council as well on one of the bases here on the left side. Widowmine replaces the drone. Marauders in front. Banelings here just get absolutely destroyed. There is, however, a Ling run by. And this is the first time that Rogue really manages to strike back. Immediately, though, we have a counter-offensive too. Those Marines and Marauders continuing for a little bit longer. And that is 2 hatcheries down the drain. If it wasn't for those SCVs dying, it would have been a perfect situation here for Terran. Oh, lift off. Can't lose the orbital. That would completely nullify every bit of work that you've done so far in this match. Okay. Yeah, nothing really protecting the 4th. That's a bit unfortunate here for Percival. But you know what? The worker count is very nice and healthy. And we can certainly make a transition right now towards the late game. Is it going to be Liberators or is it going to be Ghosts? We're up to 8 barracks right now. +3 attacks coming up. Zerg is ready to go for a move out though, and this time around we have Ultralisks joining in as well. They already have chitinous plating, they already have adrenal glands, +2 armor, +2 attacks. This is scary, man. It's a lot of Zerg just about to hit. Man, I would have really liked to see a couple of blinding clouds here or something along those lines, but I guess that would be too expensive right now. Widowmine shots are good. Ultras, though, are going to be able to start plowing through. Good splits right here on the Marines and the Marauders, negating a lot of the splash damage. Siege tank over here is drawing a lot of fire. Ultras here in the front, putting in a ton of work, but slowly but surely, we do see a lot of the Zerg units getting cleaned up. SCVs, though, on hold position, trying to maybe confuse the pathing there of the Ultralisk just a little bit, but it also costs Percival dearly. That's, well, 19 SCVs right now going down. Zerg is really just trying to flood the map. Command Center Council over here. More and more SCVs are dying. Couple links here working away as well at that base at the bottom. And what started off as a phenomenal game for Percival is kind of falling apart. He might be able to stabilize though. And in a weird way, when you have this many command centers, I mean, I'm not going to say 30 SCVs is fine to lose, because obviously, okay, now it's 35. Obviously, that's more than you really want. But it's not like Rogue's economy is absolutely massive either. This is not a Zerg on like 100 workers, effectively able to just keep this going all day, every day. He's likely going to have to fall back and regroup. And that's going to give Percival a little bit of time to breathe. I wouldn't have minded, by the way, a planetary fortress here at the bottom. I think that would have been a pretty good idea, because the SCVs here have been in a world of trouble, and again, there's another Ling run by, headed south immediately. Planetary Fortress also not done in the middle. Yeah, he's firing one up right now. More Ultras moving in through the right side. And suddenly, right, Rogue opens the floodgates. Suddenly the swarm appears to be everywhere. Dang. Alright, we just saw 72 SCVs dying. There's fungal growth available right now as well. Okay, one of the infestors falls, but I mean, we are like one fungal away from this game being over. Because Percival cannot really maintain this type of army for much longer at this rate. Planetary will finish up in the middle of the map, that's something, but he needs to keep running. Fungal growth does not quite hit. Planetary Fortress available, but not necessarily safe against all those Zerg reinforcements. Good pickup right there in the end. SCVs will have to go in for maybe an escape or a repair. Doesn't really matter. Now we have some links as well sneaking to the bottom of the map once again. Yeah, Rogue is a bit of a beast, man. He may have been in some trouble earlier on. He did not have that great of a start. His economy, never been amazing. His creep spread is extremely lackluster, considering the amount of time we've had this game going on for. But he did just destroy the Terran's economy. 87 workers. And I think about 2-3 minutes. Is that something Percival can recover from? I'm not sure. It seems like a lot. We can't really afford a missile turret right now. We can't really just go ahead and scan around either. Man, this should have been a planetary, right? Seriously, I think about 80% of the workers that died over here. Medivac's trying her absolute best. Putting in a bit of work, keeping the Zerg player somewhat honest. But I don't believe Rogue is just gonna give up right now. I don't think he's gonna sit back and mech her up from here. He may be getting another base, but really, I think we're gonna be sending it very soon again. And this time around with another maxed out army. There's an infestor, by the way. There's 3 infestors right over here. Ultra's going in. Ultra's going in. Fungal growth. Okay, he does send it. Good splits already, though, here by Percival. Really negating a lot of the splash damage. Okay, those Ultras, I thought they were going to destroy everything, but Percival anticipating the move. Problem is, while all of this was going on, the command center at the bottom apparently ended up biting the dust. Now we don't have that much mining anymore here for Percival in general. Ultra still chasing all of this down. Planetary in the middle still lives. It's another cleanup. But every time we see the Zerg player forced to regroup, the Terran's economy and the Terran's army is a little bit smaller. Yeah. This is the peaks and valleys right over here. The income is going more and more in favor of Rogue. The armies, I mean, not quite trending down that much just yet, but I think they're going to be following here in that very same pattern very soon. You know what you do? This is your safety blanket. Yeah. When in trouble, make a command center. This is like a weighted blanket for Terran players. When they're a little bit scared, when they're a little bit afraid, when life throws them a curveball, make a command center. Very smart. All right. We have Rogue, though, not really taking any chances. I feel like if he wanted to be really safe, he could have added on, and this is nice here with the Liberator, but I think he could have added on like another 10 workers or so. He could have gone up to like 90 drones and just really never stopped the flood of units. Fungal growth over here. Yeah, there's no easy counter for the Liberators just yet. Zerglings yet again, though. Oh no, going after the safety blanket! Yeah, this is turning into a bit of a anti-bullying campaign right now, man. These are the types of videos they would show me in high school. Percival decides to stand up to his bully by GGing out of the game. Okay, and that will take us to a lovely Blackrock. I hope you like the color green, because this map is extremely green. Yeah, it's just mostly green everywhere. Not as many orcs anymore, though. Speaking of green, not as many of them anymore. Instead, they've been replaced, of course. The TLMC edition had a lot of orcs, but they've been replaced with the Marine Tauren Chieftain, whatever the official name of it is. Maybe it was a little bit too Warcraft 3, although I guess all of these, what are they? Dinosaur teeth? I'm not really sure what these are supposed to be. Honestly, that skull is way too small. Maybe they're ribs, actually. Maybe that's what they're supposed to be. If these are supposed to be teeth, then that skull was way too tiny. Anyways. It's a nice warm welcome if you get across the map. You get to experience the hospitality that is Percival. Yeah, Percival had a flying start in that previous game, but then the Zergling run-bys started hitting. It's almost like Rogue was basically just waiting for the perfect time to strike, and then when he started attacking, he never stopped. It's the mindset of just defending early game, just getting as much tech out, as much economy out as possible, trying to not die, and then you flip the switch. Ultralisks, man, they're very scary. Ultras are kind of funny like that. Like, they can feel like they're absolutely unkillable to a Terran, and then when the actual counter is out, when you have Liberators, when you have Ghosts, it kind of feels like Ultras are the most useless unit in the entire game. It's very similar against Protals as well. If there's no Immortals out, Ultras just destroy everything on the ground. But as soon as there are Immortals, well, they usually are the ones getting destroyed. Now, can Rogue really go for a strategy like that yet again? I think it's possible. But usually you do need a little bit of variety. And really, I think that is probably Rogue's very biggest strength when playing StarCraft 2. He's just got a lot of range to his gameplay. It's actually really nice to see him competing, by the way, in these weekly cups so frequently. It's quite uncommon, right? Well, actually, it's very uncommon for the StarCraft 2 millionaires, the players that have all earned more than $1 million in tournament earnings over the years to participate in, this is a $400 cup, for example. Rogue has been playing in a lot of them, though. But I don't remember the last time we've seen Maru, or Serral, or Dark. Although I guess Dark for different reasons. He should be returning, by the way, by the end of the year. I know there's a lot of Dark fans out there, myself included. I feel like this is actually a really good... Ooh, nice snipe over there on the drone. I feel like this is a good time if you are Dark, because Dark is just a very flexible Zerg, and right now there doesn't really seem to be like a go-to build that Zerg players are going for every single time. But yeah, sadly for him, he's still doing his mandatory military service, and sadly for this drone as well, man. Rogue is not really able to catch himself in this game so far. The Zerglings are thinking about going on the counter-offense, but this is not a quick Ling speed build. It's coming, but it's still a while away. Honestly, kind of risky. Zerglings are gonna be met by Hellions here really soon. And while Percival doesn't know that the Lynx are on a little adventure, as long as he gets the Hellions out, he should be fine. Ooh. Could have considered lifting it. You could sacrifice Jimmy and then lift the supply depots. But I guess he wants to lose nothing. Well, Jimmy is still gonna die. A little bit of lost mining time here as well. But now the Hellions are out, and this is not a good start for Zerg. Losing a drone, losing the Lynx, right before Metabolic Boost is done. I guess he eventually forced that Reaper to go all the way back home, but this is all a little much. Okay. Cloaking Field for Banshees. Oh. Dude, Rogue. Rogue is a bit annoying, huh? Bit of an annoying Zork player to go up against. Third hatchery in some trouble. The queens do jump up in the air for joy. It's a very beautiful thing to see. Two of these Hellions now free in this game. One for the first command center, and now one as well for the second command center that's being built. Okay. We should definitely get the creep tumors, yeah. That's one of the things that actually went really nicely for Percival in the previous game. He kept that Zerg creep spread under control really nicely. It's incredibly annoying to deal with the creep when it's, well, at your front door. We've seen that recently in some of the Serral games, but also in the GG Machine games. You know what? I'm just gonna mention GG Machine in the same breath. His creep spread has been absolutely ridiculous. And it just shows you, right? When you're going up against a very fast Zerg, dealing with creep is tough. Rogue always seems to have a small little pack of Lynx out, just to be a nuisance. Operation be as annoying as possible. Still important to play. Now we do have a nice little line of overlords, though, out on the map. What Rogue is trying to do is lead all of the creep tumors with an overlord. So he can basically keep tabs on where the Banshees are, where the Hellions are, and spread the tumors forward when it's safe only. Right now, these units did go all the way back home, and he's gonna get the heads up as to where they're currently located. So at least one of the creep tumors will die, but you're not just gonna be caught off guard against a run-by, but what about a flyby? Queen's in the meantime distracted. This was a long cloak. Percival flying through the middle. Considering there's 4 spore crawlers in this game, losing 3 drones honestly feels like a lot. Keep in mind it's, well, now 4, 5, 6, no, 5. It's 5 drones plus 4 spores. That's 9 workers killed just for the cloak Banshees. Maybe even more. The units aren't done yet. Hellions aiming for a bit more damage. But so far, this game is going really nicely here for Percival. We do have a switch up, though, for Rogue. So, rather than going into quick Baneling speed, rather than going into Roaches, he's going straight into Hydralink. Or Hydraling and Hydralisks. Once more, we have a pesky group of Zorklings out. Ready to deal a bit of damage. Looks like the Banshees and the Hellions, though, are going to have to make their way back home. Combat Shields, 1-1. Likewise as well for the Zerg. We have a very interesting combination of upgrades coming up right now for Rogue. +1 missile. Usually with Hydraling Bane, we do still see melee upgrades coming up, but there's no Banelings in this match. So I guess we're going pure Hydra into maybe Lurkers or something? No, we have a Baneling Nest coming right now. Okay, we'll have to see. Maybe there's some sort of potential for a Hydralisk timing attack. One thing I'm wondering about, I don't know if it's possible, right? But since Microbial Shroud on the new patch no longer needs research, I wonder if you could cancel the Baneling Nest and go for a couple Infestors instead, and do like a big Hydra Ling timing attack with Microbial Shroud. I know I may be grasping for straws a little bit, but Microbial Shroud really is slept on right now. It's insanely good. We see it used a lot in the late game, but I think there's timing attack potential. We'll probably see it more in like the next half year or so. Anyways, big attack right here for Percival. Trying to see if he can stretch the advantage that he created for himself. Nice snipe over here on this base, because that one's super dead. And while we do have some of the Zerglings still running around, Hellions keeping the reinforcing Terran units at least somewhat safe. I think the Banshees may have died. Yeah, the Banshees did just die over at the third base. But they're just another ball to juggle. Not that important anymore. And since there's no Baneling supporting anything, Percival is jumping at the opportunity to snipe whatever he can. Keep in mind that Hydras are expensive, at least compared to Roaches and all the rest of it. So this is a really nice opportunity for Percival to get some more value, man. Those siege tanks are having a great time as well. We do have a little Ling run by yet again. Because of course we have a little Ling run by yet again. Siege tank actually moved even further forward. I don't think most of these Terran units will go home, but I guess Percival really is just trying to squeeze as much juice out of this siege tank based army as possible. Yeah, Zerg can clean it up, but you're gonna have to dash forward. Let's see. He decides to engage before muscular augments. That does mean that more and more Hydras will go down the meat grinder. Oof. Man, extremely expensive cleanup here for Rogue. Ultimately, he's gonna get it done. Yeah, but saving all the medevacs is huge. Oh, careful. He's actually waiting in the tall grass, man. I think he should boost home, no? He wanted to stay the ground or stay his ground and potentially even counterattack yet again. The problem is though that Percival's economy did take a beating, and he hasn't been 100% on point with the SCV production. So he's got a bit of money saved up. I think we should have been at like 60-ish workers at this stage in the game. And while he did lose a handful, yeah, it looks like Rogue is going to be able to stabilize once more. Getting Baneling speed, by the way, but not really bothering with Banelings. That's the difficult thing about Banelings, right? When you go up against a good Terran player, and they have like a small army to micro, Banelings are rarely worth it. Banelings become very good when like being human is the bottleneck, you know what I mean? Like when you have 400 APM, but you can't possibly micro all the individual Marines, even with that much APM, that's when Banelings tend to get value. But in small engagements like this, yeah, when Percival can put in all the attention, why bother making Banes? He's once more, man, look, using those line of sight blockers here on the map. They're a little bit difficult to see. Ultimately, though, this is Zerg now cleaning it up. Okay. On the back of this, no +2 attacks. No +1 melee either. Whereas in the meantime, on the other side, we do have those upgrades coming in for the Terran. Infestation Pit coming up. Maybe Rogue was originally intending on being the aggressor here with Hydras in the mid-game. But I think we have to go back to the drawing board right now. I'm assuming we're going to have to go up towards the Hive and Lurker then. It makes the most sense. Percival, though, is going to keep up the pressure. The Spore Crawlers from earlier have been set up in the main base now. Look, there's some of them. They used to be good old orcs. Oh, well. So, these line of sight blockers, by the way, are the tall grass bits. They're on every map, but they're extremely common on Blackrock. Blackrock probably has more line of sight blockers than any StarCraft 2 map that we've had, honestly. Like, there's so many. Hatchery snipe in the upper left. Percival losing a medevac or two as well, though. And now some Banelings can be useful. Yeah. When you can't see through the grass, it's not a bad idea. Okay, so the reason, by the way, why we do have so many of these on this particular map is that the entire middle of this map, so with the exclusion of the main bases, this entire map is just a one leveled playing field. So it's supposed to obviously be inspired by Warcraft maps, and Warcraft 3 maps, for the most part, don't have a ton of ramps. There are some, but not a ton of high grounds in general, so this map is very flat. And to make up for it, to make sure that certain units are still viable, line of sight blockers have been installed, and I am very pleasantly surprised with how this map has worked out so far. It's really fun. Anyways, I'm getting flashbacks to the previous game. Percival had a great start. Even better than the previous game. But now, Rogue is maxed, right? Or he's gonna be able to max. He's got up to hive tech. His creep spread is very lackluster, but he's got all the workers he could possibly need to basically keep massing armies. And while Percival has been desperately trying to prevent this stage in the game from happening, Rogue got there. So how do we deal with this? What's the goal right now? How do we counter a Zerg player that has seemingly infinite amounts of economy now? Marines aren't gonna cut it, man. We have to somehow slow the game down. Okay, we're going into Ghosts. Nidus Network coming up here as well for Rogue. I don't mind the idea. Lurkers in the main base. Incredibly annoying for Terran to deal with. While Percival has got some positive momentum on his side, it's very difficult to be microing medevac drops while also simultaneously dealing with lurkers inside of your main base. But he's already slowing the game down a lot, so he's making a ton of command centers right now. And he's going into Ghosts as well. +3/+3 has been started up at the correct time. But here we go. The Overseers are coming up yet again. Now, they did nerf Rogue's strategy with 5.0.16. For those of you that are mass Overseer fans, remember the days when Rogue used to make 60 of these guys? Well, they've effectively made it so that changelings are now contagious to other changelings. That's what it said in the patch notes. And effectively what it means is that if you snipe this one, if you kill that one only, it's gonna be destroying all of the other close-by changelings as well. So rather than Terrans having to micro against it relentlessly, having to snipe every single individual unit, yeah. It's still a viable style though, we'll have to see. But can you still go 50 Overseers? I'm not so sure. I think you could still probably do it, to be honest. Just a little bit more risky. But I mean, if you make that many Overseers, you get that many changelings, I think you should be fine. Anyways, while we are going into a slower paced late game right now for Percival, we're celebrating with some tactical nukes. Okay. Tactical nukes and command centers, man. Any Terran player's dream. Hatcheries are being set up left, right, and center now. And while Terran was working very hard to keep the creep spread contained earlier on in this game, yeah, I don't think we're really too far away from everything still getting gooped up. Armor upgrades for the structures. A ranged upgrade for the structures as well. Percival is enjoying some of his luxury upgrades. But yeah, now I kind of miss the early game, you know, the early game pressure and the advantage of it, right? Like, yeah, we've gotten a nice lead, but Percival is now giving Rogue a ton of time to get back into this particular match. Should we have pressed the issue? Is this the right approach for Terran? Well, we've got 6 command centers on the production tab, fusion core, 2 additional starports, a liberator production's kicking in. I wouldn't mind a second armory, man, to just start upgrading all the mechanical units too, because why not? Easy to snipe these little changelings now. Yeah, you see that? So you see how all of them got popped? That's the new change. Much harder now for a Zork unit to slip through the cracks and then suddenly appear with a Nidus Worm inside of the main base. And similar to the ring of spore crawlers inside of the main base of the Zerg, we're now doing the same thing here for Terran. Nidus Worm, though, does get planted in the far bottom right. Percival does have vision of it. But look at how much space he's controlling right now on Blackrock. I guess the new plan is to mine out his half of the map. Yeah. He has taken his half of the map. Now you just gotta hold on to it. Easier said than done. I mean, he's got siege tanks in the choke points. Siege tanks on the high grounds. Planetaries as well in the choke points. I mean, this is an extremely difficult spot for Zerg to break. Rogue is trying to do it with Nidus Worms. So there's lurkers inside of this thing. Liberator's running on over in this direction. He's working away at the rocks as well on the right side. But I mean, this is a scary-ass Terran army, and I don't really think we're going to be able to see the Zerg player go through that when the entirety of the Terran army is present. Force retreat there through the network. We've got ourselves another Nidus Worm over here on the far right. Okay. Nidus Worms left, right, and center, man. And this is where you do have to be super careful. Like, things are going well here for Percival, but the floodgates are starting to open a little bit. Percival desperately trying to force them shut, but you gotta be so careful, man. Suddenly there's a Zerg infestation inside of your natural expansion, and you have to fall back from your outer defenses. You gotta be careful that when you pull back your entire bio army now, that you're not gonna get overwhelmed on the flanks. Of course, Rogue has got the much more mobile army. Suddenly the natural expansion is gone. He's got to force his way up the high ground, or at least he was considering it. Decides to retreat. But yeah, this is why you still have to respect all of the Nidus play. Nidus Worm as well now in the far bottom right. This one, though, is within range of the planetary. He's going to have an easy time cleaning all of it up. Good enough. And while there is a little bit of an attempted push here as well on the right side, yep, it's not going to be able to really deal that much damage. Okay, so here's the game plan for Percival. Try to trade cost efficiently to the Terran, right? To the Zerg, rather. So make sure you get cost efficient trades with Terran. And then mine out your half of the map. It's easy math. All you got to do is just do everything correctly. Just don't mess up. Honestly, that's any, I guess, competition in a nutshell, right? But especially StarCraft. Usually the first player to mess up is the one that loses. Bit of a bloodbath over here, though. This night is where I'm not really getting a ton of value. Okay, so on the previous patch, so for the first 16 years of StarCraft, it's really been that long, bases... Actually, that's not entirely true, I guess. Since the release of Legacy of the Void. So, for the last 11 years of StarCraft, bases would last about 10 minutes. Ever since the new patch, these bases last longer. The mineral redistribution on all of these mineral fields does make it so that the bases last a few minutes longer. It's gonna be harder for Percival to mine everything out. Mostly because he's got a lot more time. But, at least in theory, I think this does work out better for Terran in the long run. Because there are more minerals to mine. Keep in mind, though, there are more minerals, but there's less Vespene gas. So each of the refineries has been reduced by 250. Normally not that big of a deal, but when you have, like, what? 12 bases? Okay, not that many, but when you have, like, 8 bases, 2 gases each, it adds up very quickly. You end up with thousands less gas than you're used to. Not really a consideration the players are making just yet. But we have seen this a lot on the new patch so far. Players do run out of Vespene. Now, in a pure mineral economy, right? Imagine if both players mine out all of their gas and they somehow manage to spend all of their gas. What do you do? I think Rogue here has got the right notion. Yeah. You have to start getting cost-effective trades with units that replenish themselves. 19 swarm host switch right here for Rogue. Rogue going for a late game transition that we never see, but I think it makes so much sense. They do get scanned immediately, though. The only problem here for Rogue is that his army is going to be really vulnerable. Like, really, he won't have that many units. He's got 2 Lurkers, 12 Hydras, a couple Banelings. But then most of the supply is caught up in units that can only fire and fight maybe half of their time that they're available. But I mean, Terran's not really planning on being aggressive, right? And if there's one way to break open a siege, it's exactly like this. Yep. That's gonna be one planetary fortress down the drain. Tactical nuke, though. 100 minerals, 100 gas. Immediately, Percival is finding a little bit of movement here, because he needs to. Cloaking field is gonna be very useful, but we really still have to respect it. Massive parasitic bomb as well. Gotta make sure we don't take the absolute maximum amount of splash. Okay, rocks get knocked down. But yeah, now that the swarm hosts are unavailable, Terran can be aggressive. Double tactical nuke. You know what's better than one nuke? 2 nukes. That's the Cold War right there in a nutshell. We're all just IRL Terran players. Anyways, that's another planetary fortress going down on the left. But we do have a hatchery snipe as well on the right. An eye for an eye. Careful though. Careful though. Banelings here are starting to close in on the ghosts. Double planetary is pretty sweet. Okay. Is this the right call, right? Like, we don't usually see this. Is this smart? Do you go mass swarm host as Zerk in the late game? It's so interesting to see him switch over to the most conservative army you can go for, while simultaneously having close to 20,000 resources in the bank. But this is actually, believe it or not, a Zerk player afraid of running out of resources. The reason he's doing it is because it happened to him before. Now, there is that weird point sometimes with swarm hosts where you kind of want to let them die so you can replace them with actual fighting units. Man, they deal so much damage. Look at the SCVs suddenly all popping. We did also have a counterattack though on the left side. 18 drones have gone down. Zerg reinforcements do appear. Okay, some of the banelings will connect. Not bad. Hatchery's being retaken over here as well on the right, yet again. Planetary fortress may have gone down, but an orbital command is going to take its place. Okay. This is a beautiful game, by the way. I really don't know where this is going to go. Like, is this currently an advantage for Terran, or is this better for Zerg? I'm not sure. Percival has got 15 orbital commands. He does not seem to be suffering from the Infinity Command Center syndrome that we've seen some Terran players deal with lately. Where they just keep making command centers. And they can't stop, man. Like, the first command center is always free in every game. And then apparently the second one is already 300 minerals. And they just keep making them. They make like 50 command centers if they are given the option. I think 15 orbitals is just about right. Marine Marauder army, man. I don't mind it. It feels a bit early to switch back to Marine Marauder, but I think it makes sense. Both players now not really remaking their workers anymore. It doesn't make a ton of sense. This is nice though here. Percival denying this base over here on the left is massive. Likewise, Rogue is denying the base over here on the right. But ultimately, this is giving Percival all the time in the world to mine out his 50%. Right? And that's really what he's aiming for. He wants long-term cost effectiveness. And what he needs to do in order to pull that off is mine out 50% of the total map's resources. Oh, like shooting fish in a barrel. Okay. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Like 20 ghosts. Feeling like 40 swarm host locusts. Okay. It's gonna give our Terran a little bit of downtime. Because the locusts are not gonna be available for another little bit. Zergling run by yet again over on the right side of the map. We're going already close to 100 dead workers in this game. Double planetary though, once more, absolutely beautiful. There's a lot of planetaries, by the way, in this game. There's only 4. Kind of feels like there's more. 7 of them in total, not bad. Okay, this one will die. New command center gets added into the mix. Percival wants to just replace the defensive structure, I think. Only just now going advanced ballistics is crazy. Another thing, actually, that Percival is missing out on in this game is extra attack upgrades for the mech units in particular. Dude, these ghosts are having a great time, huh? First killing all the locusts single-handedly. Now going after a hatchery by themselves. Yeah, we should have had these upgrades already. We should also have the air weapon upgrades. We should also have the armor upgrades for the mechanical units. It's useful for siege tanks, liberators, Vikings. It's useful for a lot of stuff. Slowly but surely, though, Rogue is starting to gain value, right? So, look, the gas lost is already tipping in favor of Zerg. We're only now 4,000 minerals away from the mineral count lost doing the same. And that's a big deal. That's why we're going swarm hosts. So Rogue successfully detected, okay, I can't really do much about this split map scenario. My way back in this game is doing the most cost-effective thing I can think of, and that's swarm hosts. It's kind of crazy, but he saw this coming in like 10 minutes before it happened. Rogue apparently able to predict the future. It's a beautiful thing. Well, we gotta get in. We gotta get in with the ghosts. I love the cloaking, man. Baiting out the locusts to land and then cloaking the ghosts. It's a sweet little play. No detection available, of course, when there's this many, well, anti-air units here. So no Overseer is going to be able to get close. The right side of the map has been in some threat for a while now. But Percival is playing this out really cleverly. Rogue used to have a lot of money available to him. But right now, he's drying up. Another mining base here is going to disappear, I believe. A couple Marauders will be clearing this out. Dude, Percival is playing this out masterfully. Incredibly well done so far by him. Like, seriously, hasn't he made, like, very solid strides forward? If I would have covered up the usernames in this game, would you have assumed this was Percival playing? Excellent Terran late game here. He's been stepping up. The new patch really evening the odds a little bit. Flattening the playing field a bit and giving certain players a chance to maybe catch up to the absolute top dogs. And while the overall skill ceiling is not lowered, it's just been temporarily reduced. You're gonna have to put in the work. Figure out exactly how you're supposed to play. Ooh. Here we go again. Lingbane moving through. Swarmos are also here. Cloak, 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 cloak. We got a cloak. Woo! There's Overseers nearby, though. Maybe it doesn't matter that much. Decent detonation for Zerg. I think that's probably the best case scenario for him. But look at the banks now. Look at the amount of resources available right now for the Zerg player especially. It's going to take a moment here, of course, for Percival to remax. But he's going to be able to pull it off, whereas Rogue is now stuck at 173 supply. His army value already similar to that of the Terran. Percival has got still 70 supply to rebuild. And I think by the time he's done so, his unit composition is going to be absolutely monstrous. Still though, Rogue did keep all of these Swarmos alive. There's also Overseers in the mix. Or Overseers? Well, they're also in the mix, but mostly the Infestors. Ghosts actually caught on the wrong side of the rocks. They do activate Cloak, but Overseers are nearby to detect them. Percival needs to be careful, though, that he does not get overwhelmed. He's holding all the cards, but at this point, Rogue's hand is bigger. All that Percival really needs is like 2 minutes to remax out. Yeah, and he's feeling the heat right now. You can kind of see the stress here on the Terran. He's like, wait a second, didn't I do all of this correctly? Did Rogue just manage to pull a rabbit out of a hat? Okay, Rogue decides to back up again. Mostly due to the fact that the Swarmos are no longer able to fire Locust. Now they're going to be available once more. This did give Percival maybe half a production cycle or so. Forced to spend most of his bank right now too, though. The amount of gas available here for the Terran is not really that much. So we're really going back to a very marine-heavy army. Maybe some Hellbats? Would that be a good call? I don't know. Hellbats against Locust, not a terrible idea. Oh! He's actually taking one of the bases here of the Zerg. Yo! This base over on the right side has been denied. Likewise, Percival denied this base over here from Rogue for a long time. Now Percival is taking half of the map and then one more. That's usually not the role of Terran, but you know what? When you have 15 orbital commands, I guess you can spare a little bit of energy. Very rapidly mine out this base. Locust Wave gets activated, but this is the worst possible location for it, I think. Okay, we should have backed off. But these Locusts are gonna be unable to hit the base. Rogue has seen it, though, but what in the world are you gonna do? He can barely afford Zerglings now. Look at that. This man is flat broke. And while this is still not easy here for Percival, because keep in mind, we have all the information in this game. Both of these players are just playing based on a hunch, right? They're having a feel as to how much money the opponent has. It's something that happens when you play a lot of the game, but it's very difficult now to make an estimation as to where you're really at. I think Percival going back to pure marine is not a bad idea. Still though, it's infestors. The Swarmhosts are gonna keep gaining value over time. Ghost count is good though. How many Overseers are there? Just 2. Honestly, if the Overseers are gone, you cloak in. These ghosts can suddenly tip the tides real quick. Rogue may have a lot of Vespene available, but last time I checked, Zerg does not have any Archons. So where are you gonna spend it? Percival now actually taking the Vespene gas geysers primarily on the base that he took. Yeah, spending some of his minerals on missile turrets instead. Scans revealing the exact position here of the entirety of the Zerg army. I think Percival slowing things down here is the smart thing to do. There's really not a lot of urgency, but that's easy for us to see. It's very easy to get carried away, though, when you're in his actual, well, seat. I was going to say in his shoes, but he's probably not wearing shoes. There's no way he's playing video games with shoes on. That's absolutely insanity. All right, let's see. Locust Wave coming in from such a faraway distance. But it does not matter. Even though we had a beautiful fungal there at the end, Percival played a masterful Terran versus Zerg. And that will take us to Sanctuary 3. I think that's what the map is called in German. I don't know. Maybe they actually also have a German word for the word sanctuary. I would imagine so. German word for sanctuary. We can look it up. Zuflucht.
Zuflucht.
Zuflucht. Zuflucht 3. Willkommen. Zuflucht 3. I know that at some point I did translate all of the StarCraft 2 map names as well in other languages, but they sort of gave up on that. I think. I hope. I'm just trying to imagine what a lot of these maps would be like in Dutch. Honestly, any game that gets translated in Dutch is just instantly very cringe to me. I guess the fact that when I was growing up, the only games that ever got translated to Dutch were games for, you know, 4-year-olds. AKA Dutch people that can't read. Those were the only games translated when I was a kid. So anything translated with video games in mind, right? Like anything that gets translated to Dutch immediately is super cringe. Toevlucht 3. Hallo iedereen, welkom. Toevlucht 3 is the map. Nah, I can't do it. People have asked me to do a Dutch cast, but it would be too difficult. It would be too hard. I don't think you can do it. You know what else I don't think you can really do? Play a proper late game against Terran right now if you are in Rogue's shoes. What do you do? What do you do? Do you let the game go the distance again, or do you have to play more aggressively in the mid game? Percival played that out really, really well. Did he play it out perfectly? No. Did Rogue play perfectly? I don't think so. But I really thought that his Swarmhost transition was very smart. He got very close. He got very close, but not quite. I wonder though if maybe Swarmhost on a map that isn't so flat. Swarmhost on a map that is a bit more easy to attack on would be a good choice. I don't know though. I don't know. You know, I've considered doing a Dutch cast for April Fool's one day. And I sat down to go ahead and record it. But I couldn't do it. Like, I would autopilot into English about 10 seconds in. I swear I'm Dutch. I swear I grew up here. Although I guess these days I speak a lot more English than I do Dutch. Anyways. Although one thing I have noticed that is impossible for me to do in Dutch as well. Or sorry, something that's impossible for me to do in English as well. So I can't talk about video games in Dutch very well, apparently. I also can't do baby talk in English. I don't know how you guys do it. I figured it'd be smart, right, to raise Bella with multiple languages if possible. And I'll try my best. But like baby talk? Talking to a baby in English? How do you do it? That has to be done in Dutch. I have to think about it. I think when she's a little bit older, we have to read some English books. Probably a better idea. Although I wonder, right? Like, just me yapping all day in a microphone when she hears that. Just me shouting throughout the house. English words. How much of that will she pick up? Follow-up question. When do I have to stop using swear words a lot? I guess I don't swear that much, but I don't know. Yeah. At this point, I don't think she remembers a whole lot. She's mostly just happy to see me. Can you believe that? Alright, anyways. We've got ourselves a nice little macro start yet again. Not surprised to see it for Percival, of course. Good old triple command center, triple barracks, stimpack combat shields. Lots of marines, lots of men with guns. Engineering base in the back of the Terran's main base. Percival, believe it or not, settling into a macro game yet again. And I can't blame him. After the success of the previous one, I think it makes a lot of sense. Likewise, this also makes a lot of sense. Rogue is gonna build up a spire. Yeah. I think he needs to make sure that he grabs control of the game. Letting Terran just do whatever they like in the earlier stages of the match. It used to be okay, but then the command center became cheaper, and I really don't think that's still the case. I mean, to be fair, that previous game on 5.0.15 would have also been a Terran victory, I believe. He did save himself quite a lot of money, but I don't think quite enough to really, consider that previous game a loss on 5.0.15, for example. I don't think that's the case. But I think Mutilating Bane makes a lot of sense here. It's gonna give Rogue a potential out in the mid-game. If he does enough damage, Mutas can tear his opponent apart. I would like to see mass Muta. So we're going +1 flyer upgrades before, for example, Evo Chamber research. That'd be kind of sick. Percival, marching around the map. This is, of course, that point in the game when Terran has Marines. They've got men with guns, and that's it. It's also right at that stage in the game, though, when Mutalisks are coming up. Ooh, Zerglings get the wraparound! Zerglings get the wraparound! Happy New Year! The Baneling explosion. It's the sound of a new year on the Zerg side of the map. And suddenly, this game is gonna flip from Terran having control of the battlefield to now Rogue owning the map. It's gonna be difficult for Percival to take a third. Likewise, I think it's gonna be hard for Rogue to break open the natural of the Terran. But Rogue is effectively gonna be able to do whatever he likes. Now, what does he like to do? Is it gonna be more drones? I would imagine it's gonna be more Mutas. By the way, this is indeed +1 flyer upgrades before any sort of Zergling research. Other than metabolic boost, of course. Oh, he's gonna jump the army. He's gonna jump the army. I don't really think we need to use the Mutas for this. Why do we use the Mutas for this, Rogue? The Zerglings would do it by themselves. It's like, no, but I wanted to give up 4 Mutas. Okay, fine. If you want to give up some Mutas. I guess his main goal right now is just to punch the Terran, dude. He's just going here to punch. Yeah, he's visiting his neighbor. And he's visiting the... It's a rude thing to do. But I guess after that previous game, at the very least, I can see the reason why. Okay. Are we gonna bust him? Because I've been told Zerg players love busting. Ah, he thought about it. I think it's dangerous, though. Because you never know what you find on the other side of the bust. What if you overcommit to it? What if... Fine, I won't finish that line of thought. Oh, where did we go? Careful, Percival's moving out. This is not the moment, man. Nope, this is not when you want to be caught outside. There was a Zork player out there ready to bust my man. Oh, he did actually bust the busters. Did you see that? That's crazy. Targeting all of the individual banelings down before they could connect. I guess that was revenge. Third base, though, still in a little bit of trouble. Widow mine, Widow mine. Got a split. Nice split, beautiful split. Good on Burrow as well, though, by Percival, who's desperately trying to force this game to go back in his favor. Muta count is not nearly as high as you would really want it to be right now as a Zerk. I think you want like 20 of them. Instead, he's got like a small little pack of them. It's not bad. They've been putting in some work. But this is not enough to really do, yeah, a ton of harassment with. I mean, they're still getting kills. But this is not enough to really keep the Terran player occupied with their entire army. Yeah. Just a portion of the Terran army is enough. And now, because the command center is cheaper, Percival's double expanding. Normally, this would be Terrans finally being able to breathe, get a third base up and running. Instead, Percival is securing the third, he's securing the fourth, and he's finishing 2-2. He's ready to punch back. Let's see. I would be worried for burrow units now, man. There's always the potential for Zerg to get burrow. Mutas here trying to slip around the side. Widowmine does burrow, and this is a good number of mutas. This is a good number of mutas. Mass repair, though, onto the missile turret is nice. This is still so many dead SCVs now. Counterattack here by Percival in the meantime. Banelings do not quite get a detonation. Nope, good target firing yet again. Looks like the missile turret, the natural, did die. Muta's now going for the one in the main base. Marines are still micro, though, on the other side of the map, too. Missile turret here did disappear. Zorklings working away at the command center. It may be cheaper, but I don't think we can just give it away. Hatchery likewise also died. The mutas are putting in work. Yeah, and this is where having a large number of mutas is kind of insane. Because now you're at the stage where the Zork player can effectively always consider counterattacking. And it's gonna be a decent choice. Percival is now really unable, as we do see a small little muta donation here. But yeah, Percival can't really just go across the map and force a big fight. Because anytime he does, the mutas will move in. +3 attacks gets denied. Pretty big snipe. 31 SCVs, by the way, have died. The drones have found a new place to mine. Hatchery over here on the right side is being rebuilt. Still, we're 4 orbital commands deep. The man in the missile turret died. Unlucky. I think Percival, though, is happy to give up the man in the missile turret if it means that his SCVs are safe. Okay. I wouldn't mind seeing an Overseer join up with this sort of unit composition. He does have Nematized Carapace. Here we go again, though. Dude, Percival is... I really like how aggressive he's being. And this is, again, not a bad fight, although the Widow Mine, ugh. I think you dealt more friendly fire there than you dealt damage to the Zerk, my man. Through the slow zone, he wants to go back home. Mutas, though, have decided to now come home as well, and that's all the medevacs down the drain. It's messy, it's bloody. Yeah, Percival is still here, man. And this is where you have to take a little bit of a step back, I think, as the Zerk. Because you kind of feel like this game has been going really well for you. You've killed so much, but the Terran's economy is bigger than it always has been. Right? Normally in this stage, Terrans would be stuck on 3 bases. Now there's a 4th. That means there's an extra mule. We have 4 orbitals, right? I mean, 4 orbitals. It's kind of incredible right now for the Terran. It means that Percival can still come across the map and deal damage. 5th hatchery is going to die. Counterattack as well in the meantime on the right side. No council on that hatch, by the way. Percival's doing a really good job. Rogue may be arc slopping all over his opponent here with those new Muta buffs. He may be an Arc Slop enjoyer. But Marines are still really good. Percival now 20 supply-ish up on the opponent. I really like the upgrades as well, man. This is a huge deal. If you can get all of these upgrades done, get a big army together, it's going to be super hard for Rogue to hold. Keep in mind, Rogue is not at Hive Tech or anything, right? Like, he may have, yeah, an infestation pit. He may be able to fire it up. But we're not, like, getting close to Ultralisks. Marines will do just fine. New command centers coming up. Okay. This is that security blanket I was talking about earlier. Terran's looking around in bewilderment, wondering what they need to do. What do we need to do? Do we need command centers? I don't think so. What we should have done is make 3 additional barracks, to be honest. It's that moment when you look at your resource count as a Terran and you're like, what do I do? I have 800 min. Command centers. What we should have done is add these on a little bit sooner instead. StarCraft players freaking out when they notice they have a little bit of money in the bank. StarCraft players are not good at saving. Nah. It's a wonder we can't buy anything on credit in StarCraft. But if that were to be the case, let's just say that we would never be able to get a mortgage. Yeah, I know, it would be bad, man. I do recommend your IRL macro to be worse than your video game macro. Anyways. Widowmine drop being annoying. Mutar counterattack yet again. Rogue actually rebuilding the Mutar count quite significantly. Yeah, it's not a terrible choice. Armory kill was decent. Marines are gonna fall as well. 5th command center, by the way, being set up right now. Percival mining out that small, skinny mineral field. Rogue now grabbing the supply advantage yet again. And he did go Hive. He is going Ultras. He's going Adrenal Glands. He's making the big late game step up. Is Percival able to go into that same direction now? Is he going to be able to go Liberators, Ghosts, all the other stuff that we saw in the previous games already? I think he's still busy trying to make sure he doesn't die to Mutalisks. He's still trying to deal with any Zergling run-bys. If suddenly a bunch of fully upgraded Ultralisks appear, what in the world does Percival do? Okay. Yeah, you know what? He can attack right before those units are out. And that's one of the reasons he's being so aggressive throughout this game. It's a big investment for Rogue to go Hive, but none of those advantages that Hive bring have really kicked in yet. So, Zergling run by here is good. Oh my god, oh my god. Oh, the Edgery lives. Jeez. Absolute bloodbath over here. Mutas are also destroying the missile turrets yet again. Looks like Rogue has decided to flip the switch once more. Getting so much value in. Man, it's a literal minefield out here, and Rogue is like, I'm gonna send in my low HP units. There's about 1 million Widow Mines. Perfect. Send in the Zerglings and the Mutas. Marauder right there sneezed onto the hatchery. Managed to get the kill. It was rather fragile. A lot of Widow Mines have died this game as well, though. Looks like the medevac drop over here up north is not going to happen. Percival, by the way, now grabbing the supply advantage yet again. Man, this is a different Percival than we saw like a year ago. So much more active. So much more confident. He may end up getting surrounded, though, similar to the Marines earlier on in this phase of the game, right? In the earlier phase of the game, he got pinned up against the wall. Banelings rolled through. Now a lot of the units over here likewise also found a similar death. Still a lot of Widow Mines in this area. Ultra now is in the production. Chitinous plating also coming up. Rogue takes the fight on creep. Mutas have decided to now just return back home and join in the main engagement. All Rogue really wants to do is buy a little bit of time. This is the big upgrade. Finishing chitinous plating and having Ultralisks out. It's gonna make this Zerg army so much more powerful. But if you give this Terran just an inch, he's gonna grab everything. New planetary fortress coming up at the bottom of the map. That's planetary fortress number 2. Missile turrets securing all of this as well. Widow mines, we have marauders, and while we don't have like a proper counter to ultras just yet, it's a small number of ultras for the time being. And as soon as we see ultras, Percival can do a couple things, right? Either he goes into an extra starport, goes Liberators, either he puts down a Ghost Academy and goes Ghosts, or you can do the Terran Classic and then just double down on Marauder play. Marauder play is a little bit more dangerous, but if you feel like the Zerg economy is not that hard to match, it is doable. Muta count is still big though. Yeah. 44 mutas have died this game. What? That's such a large number of mutas. 150 marines and 44 mutas. That's kind of nuts, right? They're not a cheap unit necessarily. Mass repair yet again. Widow mine yet again too. Here go the ultras on the right side of the map. Percival forced to micro multiple engagements at the same time. This is when suddenly things become extremely hard for Terran. Yeah, and it's very difficult to step onto creep. Lost the plot for just a moment over on the right side of the map. Distracted by the mutas. These are much easier fights to do for the Zerg than they are for the Terran. Planetary fortress over here is not likely to finish up unless the Marines can get close to the mutas before it is gonna get sniped. No, I think that'll be the end of another command center. 188 and 113. That's kind of a... Okay, I don't like that. I like round numbers, okay? Blizzard doesn't like round numbers anymore. Anyways, 14 SCVs have died to boot as well. And while the economy here for Rogue is not ideal, it's still good enough. Now we're getting to the point, though, where the main, the natural, the third, and all of the outer bases here for the Terran are running reasonably low. He's still got a good bit of mining. I guess his third base was so delayed because of the Muta opener that there's still some going on in that particular base. Percival maxed out. No transition, by the way, to Ghosts. He's added on a few Liberators, but really not that many. Zerglings yet again. Oh, the rocks get knocked down. Muta's now showing up as well to go after the Liberators and the Medivacs. Ultras awkwardly on the wrong side of the wall. They're going to be able to find maybe a small group of Marines. I mean, that's a lot of very low HP Mutalisks. Marauders likewise also. Ooh, so low. He does pick off an additional 3 Ultras. Nice micro there by Percival. Forced to retreat yet again. Drops off the Widow Mine, unloads it, and burrows it once more, forcing the Zerg to stop chasing. Rogue is fighting for scraps right now. He really doesn't have a ton of money. Beautiful engagements here across the board. Whew. Yeah, Percival may actually be the real deal. He's been playing this game for so long, right? Like, it's been a steady grind. Generally speaking, what we see is players peaking really fast. And some of them, they get to the pro level and they just never let go. Percival has been playing this game at a high level for like 6, maybe 7 years. But he's been getting better. And he's been getting better at a faster rate than all the other players at his level. And it's starting to show now that we need to really take this man into a proper consideration. I still don't know if this game is going to work out favorably for him, though, but he is playing some fantastic StarCraft. Keep in mind, he's going up against one of the all-time greats here. Rogue is often the man that, or one of the names at least, that comes up when you discuss who the greatest StarCraft 2 player of all time is. And he's going toe-to-toe with him, possibly outplaying him. Oh, man, the Widow Mines, while they're doing so much work, they're also dealing a lot of friendly fire. And this Terran army is unlikely to escape. So many red HP units. 2 missile turrets over here is nice, but there's Ultras, Lings, Mutas, and all the rest of it. Banelings are going to be able to crash into the SCV count as well. First of all, his economy here is going to take an absolute nosedive. He smashed his piggy bank, by the way, and managed to get building armor going. Looks like the newly made command center is going to bite the dust as well. That's minus 300 minerals. GG gets cold. Rogue gets the job done, but man, did he have to fight for it. Phenomenal game of StarCraft. Look, there's pro games that you look at and you think to yourself, with enough practice, I could do that. Right? You lie to yourself. You think to yourself, okay, if I just worked hard, maybe I could have, if life wasn't so busy, I could have been that good at the game. And then you have games like the previous two that we just saw. And I think we can all agree that 99.999% of people watching this are unable to copy that particular style. From both sides. Two bangers back to back. Percival and Rogue pushing each other to the absolute limit. That previous game in particular, man. Such a bloodbath. Now we are on the Old Sun Temple. Horizontal spawn locations. I always like horizontal spawn locations less for the Zerg. On Old Sun Temple specifically. It's very difficult for Zerg to take a fourth, right? So you take this as your natural. You take this as your third. You take this as your fourth? I don't know about that. Alternative choice is this one, but then either you have to send a drone all the way around, or you have to start mining out these mineral fields or destroy the rocks early. There are choices to make, but in a realistic game, when Terran is out on a map being aggressive, it has proved to be quite difficult for Zergs to take their fourth over here. So you go main base, natural, third. And then by the time you want to take a fourth base, you haven't yet had time to knock down the rocks. You haven't really had time yet to knock down the mineral fields either. It is definitely a little tricky for Zerg in this type of spawn location. But like I said, Rogue is a very flexible player, right? So let's see what he can do. Command center on the good old low ground. CC first. It's very nice. CC first has become very popular. Rogue is going to see. Percival is not going to see. The Overlord has more vision than a building structure does. So at this point, yeah. It is still up in the air for the Terran player as to where Zerg is currently at. No longer a fan of SCV scouts or Reaper openers, it seems, right? He's really not going for any of that at all. Third command center in the main base already. Sure. CC into barracks. We're basically, what we're doing right now, right, is we're no longer making supply depots. These are basically supply depots that take a little bit longer to build, but they also, yeah, give you the opportunity to build SCVs out of them. It's pretty sweet. So it's depot, command center, barracks, command center, barracks. Kind of nuts. So I think you can delay this gas geyser and go for another command center. You can go 4 CC. I'm pretty sure. The only problem is that then you just have a very small army. But, I mean, have the Marine pushes throughout this series that we've seen Percival go for in game number 1 and in game number 3, have they really been good? I don't know. I guess they forced Rogue to make a lot of units as well to defend. But I wonder if we are gonna, yeah, move into a meta where Terrans are gonna go quadruple command center. I would not be surprised. Quadruple command center builds may very well become a thing. You don't really necessarily need Stimpack and combat shields that early. The only problem is, I guess, when you see as a Zerg player that Terran is going quadruple command center, you can go for a Roach all-in again. And Roach all-ins are very unpopular in the current meta. Rogue does mix them in from time to time, but then suddenly you open that door again, I guess, as a Terran. So it's a cheeky decision you have to make. Anyways, it's nice to maybe mix in a best of 5 series like this. Lair is going to finish up really early here. Is Rogue going to go for another Spire? Yup. Quick Muta play. I guess after playing the game on Blackrock, Rogue has decided he no longer wants to worry about playing late game. Especially not here against Percival. I also think in these spawn locations, this actually makes a lot of sense. When you have the reasonably close air-to-air space, where you know it's going to be difficult to take a fourth, I think it makes a lot of sense. Do you make Zerglings right now to knock down rocks? It seems so wasteful. Yeah, these rocks actually have probably a little bit too much HP. I feel like if we were going to see an adjustment to the map pool, like a little bit of refinement, maybe like 2000 HP on these rocks is a lot, man. You just can't really reliably kill it. Or maybe it's actually a good thing, right? That we have so much variety. Anyhow, Spire just about to be fully erected in the main base. As the people say. And then, yeah, medevac production will fire up here soon enough. There it is. It's a very organic shape, let's say. I don't know why it looks like this. What do you think the Blizzard developers were doing that day? That they came up with this design? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Okay, we have a full-on Mutaling Bane push this time around. Mutas in the main, Banelings at the third. Oh, Jimmy. Jimmy, you came to the wrong place, brother. Oh my god, that scan? Centrifugal Hook's not yet done. Medevacs are gonna show up, but that scan, missing the Banes is a big deal. The Mutas also showing up completely unseen, though, is a huge deal. And what about the Medevac pickup? Okay, it is indeed executed. Oh, I love this. Contamination to prevent the factory from making any additional Widow Mines. Just like that, 17 SCVs die, but this was indeed a huge commitment for Rogue. It's honestly the bare minimum. He needs to kill more than that. He's gonna get more than that, though. Boom. 35 SCVs have died. Missile turret finishes up inside of the natural expansion, but the third base has to be evacuated. Rogue has had enough. He's leading the series by 1 point. He decided to effectively now go for a very committed two-base play. He has a third hatchery, but look at this. There's no mining. 44 workers is the only thing he's really got, and it's giving him just enough to be producing all of these units. Percival does manage to fall back. This is now prompting Rogue to go into some additional drone production of his own. But that was a beautiful little push there by the Zerg player. A little too greedy, I guess, for Percival. Who, by the way, only just now saw where his opponent lived. Like, he didn't even see the main base of the Zerg. He just moved out and saw the creep. So, with that, he's noticed, okay, my opponent is in the upper right. Oh, Banelings, man. They're gonna roll through. GG is going to get cold with all of those units slipping through the cracks. And that is one thing, right? When you are playing at a high level, that you have to also figure out how in the world can you keep focused for that long. Like, playing the game is tiring, but playing big macro games back to back, like we just saw in game 2 and 3, it takes a lot out of you. And then if you have to continue playing the series, obviously this is the finals of the tournament day as well. So these guys probably already have played a dozen games against other pros. It gets pretty exhausting. Rogue is somebody that has been managing those energy levels for a long time. And I guess that's something you can really only just practice for, right? Really depends as well on like the time of the day and when you woke up and all the rest of it. It's something you gotta min-max. But either way, this time around it's Rogue who obtains the victory. But he certainly was pushed to the absolute limit. GG.